Social Security is a key component of the American retirement plan. And with the smallest cost of living adjustment in 4 years, millions of Americans will be looking to make the most out of their Social Security income. Hello, welcome to Rural America Live with AARP. I'm Tony St. James. You know, nearly 68 million Americans receive Social Security checks every month. That's 1 in 5 people. This month, those checks will go up just a little as a 2.5% cost of living adjustment takes effect. And with Social Security playing such an important role for so many in retirement, it's important to know how to make the most of it. Tonight, our special guest will answer your Social Security questions, and our friends from AARP will share resources to help you navigate the road to financial security. And our question of the month is, how does Social Security help you and your family? AARP has a new giveaway this year. We're giving away a flip-top cooler to 5 lucky on-air callers and 1 second chance sweepstakes winner. So pick up the phone, join our conversation. We're wasting no time in taking your calls. Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 877-283-7570. That's 877-283-7570. Remember, you don't need to be a member of AARP or over the age of 50 to win. But as a reminder, you can win only once each calendar year. You'll get your cooler, but be patient. If you are a winner tonight, AARP will call you back in the next few days to confirm your mailing address. So make sure to take their call or return their call if they leave a message. And just so you know, AARP pays all of the shipping costs. And if you're not a lucky winner tonight, enter the AARP Second Chance Sweepstakes at aarp.org/AARP Live. Or simply scan the QR code on your screen to enter. 1 cooler given away each month, with the winner announced during next month's program. Rules apply, and you can only win 1 time in a calendar year. All right, I'd like to welcome Sarah Jennings, Regional Vice President for AARP, and also Greg Marshall-Don, State Director for AARP Vermont. And a little later in the show, Social Security expert Stephen Richardson joins us to help unlock the mysteries of your Social Security benefits. All right, lines are open, 877-283-7570. And our show is full of very useful information. I know you're going to have questions, and I'm glad we'll be able to answer them. All right, want to start with 3 quick facts about Social Security. Greg, help us out here.
Well, Social Security is the only guaranteed benefit that keeps up with increasing cost of living or inflationary costs each year, and that's really important. The 2.5% cost of living increase, which happened this year, is in line with inflation. When inflation was higher, like it was during the couple of years of the pandemic, it was clear that the cost of living increases were higher and commensurate with inflationary costs. In 2024, they were lower, so it was slightly lower than it was the past few years. And a really important feature for Social Security to remember is that most private retirement plans or annuities, which many folks get during their working years, are not adjusted for inflation. And if they are, it's only partially or a little bit. So again, the guarantee part of this benefit is really critical that way. Finally, Social Security is the single biggest source of retirement income for most retirees. But another point that's really important is that Social Security was never intended to fully replace retirement income. So it was never intended to be the end-all, be-all of your retirement programs. It was meant to be one piece of a puzzle, along with savings that you get through your employers and personal savings. But nearly 40% of retirees rely on Social Security for about half of their income in retirement, and 1 in 7 rely on it for 90% of their income. So that's a real lot.
All right. So all good facts there, but Sarah, all those payments are going out anytime we're talking about money, we have to talk scammers as well.
That's right.
And I can only imagine how many ways they're getting involved. So what do we need to know about scammers and how do we spot one?
Yeah, we talk a lot on this program about the different scams that are out there in Social Security because it is a check that's coming your way. People are trying to get their hands on it. So there's 4 really common scams that we want to make sure that everyone out there watching or listening is going to keep their kind of antenna up to make sure you don't fall for it. So the first one is that you will get a notification that you're going to get a higher benefit, but to get that, you need to either pay a fee or you have to verify your birthday or give them your Social Security number. None of that is true. You're going to get your COLA. You don't need to do a darn thing. So never give away your information when someone tries to make you give something for an increase in your Social Security. The second kind is that your Social Security number has been suspended or your payments have been suspended. And again, you'd be asked to pay a fee to get it unsuspended, to get your check again, either by wire transfer or sometimes cryptocurrency is really common, or even a gift card. So again, Social Security Administration does not suspend your number. And so that is a scam. Definitely do not don't send any money to anybody saying that they're going to unsuspend your number. The third very popular one that we're seeing is that they'll say that your number has been tied to a crime. And in this case, they just try to get you kind of fearful and concerned. They're trying to get information from you to, again, either verify that it wasn't you involved with this crime. So again, that is not something that's legit. And if you are concerned, call, there's ways that you can call to verify that there was some sort of crime occurred, but most likely not a thing. Don't give your number out. That's the theme here. And the final is that they may tell you that your bank account is at risk, that there was some sort of, data breach or something, that your number went out. And so in that case, they may ask you to verify your Social Security number. So in that case, they're phishing to try to get the number, or they may ask for other information. So again, the theme here with all of this is that Social Security Administration does a good job of getting you your benefit, of protecting your number. And so if you get these asks of anybody that it seems a little fishy, that they're trying to get that they're trying to either make you give them some information to get your payment, it's a scam. Don't fall for it.
Okay, I'm just wondering. So now we know what the scams are. Greg, maybe you can help us. How do we stop that from happening?
Yeah.
How do we stop them in their tracks?
Well, the more you know, the better educated are, the better you are going to be able to protect yourself. So stop and think. That really is one of the most important bits of advice you can have. Take a deep breath, take a step back, and think to yourself, does this make a lot of sense? And it usually doesn't. Second, don't ever transfer money under any circumstances at all. We see these in gift card scams, MoneyGram, those sorts of things. So anyone demanding money in the moment, it is always a scam. Third, don't ever share your personal information with anybody on the telephone, anybody via email, anybody via text. Simply never provide it, ever. And then finally, verify, verify, verify. Social Security won't ever call you on the telephone. They won't ever send you a text. They won't ever send you an email. They won't ever knock on your door. They will send you a piece of certified mail. And in that mail, it will tell you, here's a number to call so that we can figure out what is going on with your Social Security account. So if you just do those things, you're going to protect yourself. And we would also say that if you have friends or neighbors who are also beneficiaries, remind them to do these things too.
The great thing about all those tips are that those tips are good for almost any scam
That's
out there.
correct.
So it's like all of those things we should all be, when you get a weird email and you're like, should I click on that link? And I didn't order a package, but they're telling me I got to look for the package. All of the things that Greg just talked through are those things that we all should be doing, staying vigilant almost all the time, but especially as we're talking about tonight when you're protecting your Social Security benefit.
Right.
All right, great information. And we're just getting started. As a matter of fact, we've got more information right around the corner, and we'll be right back with our special guest, Stephen Richardson, to answer your questions. Join the conversation. Give us a call, 877-283-7570, 877-283-7570. We'll be right back.
What are supplemental security income and Social Security disability insurance?
Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, is meant to be a financial safety net for people with very low income and limited assets. People with disabilities can apply for SSI, but so can people age 65 or older if they can show significant financial need. Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, is a benefit for people who have not reached retirement age but have a severe disability or suffer an injury or illness that prevents them from working for a year or more.
Are there other differences between the two programs?
Yes, Social Security Disability Insurance is a regular Social Security program, like retirement benefits. The money comes from Social Security taxes we pay on our income, and you must have spent a certain amount of time paying those taxes to qualify. Supplemental security income, on the other hand, is paid from a general government fund. You can get it even if you haven't paid into the Social Security system. SSI is not technically a Social Security program, but it is managed by the Social Security Administration. To learn more, go to aarp.org/Social Security.
Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. Social Security expert Stephen Richardson's here along with Sarah Jennings, AARP Regional Vice President, and Greg Marshaldon, AARP State Director for Vermont. Now, our phone lines are open. We want to hear from you. It's 877-283-7570. And we want to know, how does Social Security help you and your family? Again, 877-283-7570. AARP has a new giveaway. 5 lucky on-air callers will win a flip-top 8-can cooler. Give us a call. You could be a winner. 877-283-7570. And if you're not a lucky winner tonight, you can enter AARP's Second Chance Sweepstakes at aarp.org/AARP Live, or just scan the QR code on your screen to enter. 1 cooler given away each month, with the winner announced during next month's program. And since this is the first show of the new year, we're excited to announce 2 Second Chance winners. Our November Second Chance winner is Kurt T. from Grundy Center, Iowa. Congratulations, Kurt. And also Robin H. from Millington, Tennessee. Congratulations. All right, Stephen, welcome back to the show. The last time you joined us, we had really so many great questions and from callers, and it's really good to have you back. And we'll head to the phone lines here in just a moment. But before we do, you were with the Social Security Administration, I think, for 40 years. So what would you say are the top questions that you're asked when it comes to taking Social Security benefits? I mean, that's a big one, right?
It is. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight. The most common questions are spousal questions. They really are. Yeah. That's the majority of questions that come down. That's where the long-term planning about when to draw Social Security comes into play. Questions like, can I draw from my spouse while I delay my own benefits? And the short answer is, prior to 2015, it was yes, you could. But the rules changed back in 2015. It said you could no longer do that. You could no longer draw from your spouse while you delay your own. The second would be, how is the spousal benefit calculated? How much do I get? Isn't this the biggest question of it all when it comes down to Social Security, is how much? Well, a spouse, essentially, when you file under a primary wage earner, the spouse is eligible for half of the primary wage earner's full retirement age amount, regardless of when the primary wage earner files for their own. So that's the starting point for the spousal benefit amount. If that spouse is younger than their full retirement age, their benefit will be reduced for age by the Social Security Administration. Another question would be divorced spousal questions. Now, the amount of money a divorced spouse would get is consistent with the regular, straightforward spousal benefits that we just went through. The kicker about divorced spouses' benefits is duration of marriage. You must be married for at least 10 years and not be remarried. If you do remarry, that marriage has to end in divorce, annulment, or death before you could potentially file under the first spouse. So again, the amount of money you get is going to be consistent. Do your homework, do your research, and think about the long-term planning aspects of Social Security.
Oh,
And call in tonight because Stephen is an expert. So if you've got a question, call in and let's see if we can stump Stephen.
all right. It's Stump Stephen night here. 877-283-7570. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to North Carolina and Tom. Good evening, Tom. What's your question?
All right, thanks for taking my question here. So my question is, both me and my wife are 63 and recently retired. So I don't plan on collecting Social Security till I'm either 65 or 67. But if my wife collects now at the age of 63, and then I wait till 65 or 67, will her benefit increase to half of my benefit?
Yeah, I mean, this is
Since I was the primary.
Yeah, this is an excellent question, and thank you for asking it. So it's an expansion on some of the spousal examples that I had already covered. So it would work like this. If you are going to delay your own benefits to file for them later, by what? By increasing them. It's a great strategy. But you want your spouse to file their own benefit at a reduced rate. It'll work like this. Once you decide to put pen to paper and file for your own benefits, because that's an entitlement factor for your wife to draw into your account, you must file. Your spouse will be eligible for half of your full retirement age amount. Now, if she is younger than her full retirement age at that time, Social Security will reduce that amount by her age. In addition, if she decides to draw her own benefits at 63 at a reduced rate, and 3 and 4 years down the road switches to the spousal rate, Social Security will reduce that spousal rate further. It's a very good question. Do your homework. Review your Social Security statements.
Okay.
Okay, we've got another call coming in. This one is from Iowa. So let's go to the phone lines. And Calvin is there. Hi, Calvin.
Hi.
Thanks for calling tonight. What's your question?
I'd like to know how much I can earn on a part-time job without it affecting my Social Security.
It's a very good question, and a lot of people do want to work once they hit their retirement years. You can't draw Social Security until you're 62. We all know that. So the short answer to your question is it depends on your age. If you're between the age of 62 through January of the year you turn your full retirement age, Social Security will allow you to earn $23,400 a year. For every $2 you earn over that, they will take $1 back. So that's the restriction amount. But what happens in January of the year you turn your full retirement age, the amount jumps up to $62,100 that you're allowed to earn. And it's for every $3 you earn over that amount, Social Security will take $1 back. So the amount of money you can earn and draw gets far more liberal in the year you turn your full retirement age. And to wrap it up, once you reach your full retirement age, if you want to continue to work and draw, you can earn whatever you want. Great question.
All right. Hey, by the way, Calvin, congratulations. You're a winner tonight.
Good for Calvin.
All
yeah,
right.
Calvin.
877-283-7570. That's the phone number to call. And we're trying to stump Stephen tonight.
We are.
Let's go to
so
Alabama.
So far, we're not doing very well.
Well, no, let's see. Maybe Henry from Alabama can help us out. What question do you have, Henry?
I had a call last month, and some scammer told me I could get a raise on my Social Security if I put up $500, and I immediately hung up. I knew it was a scam.
Good for you, Henry. Exactly. And that is, I mean, when we're hearing about all these happening all over the country, you can they're predictable. But just as Henry did, you just hang up and you know it's a scam. But I'm so glad you did, because you never know, if you would have given even a little bit of information, they might have taken much more than $500. So well done. And if other folks out there have heard of scams, we can stump Stephen, and then we can also share other scams that you're hearing about as well, the ones that we already talked about.
I want to add real quickly to that in my state, in Vermont, this Social Security scam for many, many years was the #1 scam, as reported by our Attorney General office. In 2024, it was number 9. Wow. So what we're seeing are more people like this, like Clifford, who are out there doing the right thing, getting the right message, and making sure that they are not being taken for a Social Security scam. So we're seeing that scam become less and less effective over time, which means that people are doing the right thing out there.
Sure.
Awesome.
All right, let's go to Missouri now. Another phone call. By the way, it's 877-283-7570, and that's the number. Clifford from Missouri called. Hi, Clifford. What question do you have for us?
If I wait till I am 67, is it to my advantage to wait till I'm 70?
Yeah, the whole decision about when to file is a very personal one. The standard advice that people give, and you should really be thinking about, is what? Physical health, financial health, longevity in your family. These are the things that you really need to consider regarding when to draw, when to start your benefits. At its core, the longer you wait, the higher your benefit is going to be. In fact, for every year you delay collecting your Social Security benefits beyond your full retirement age, up to age 70, the benefit goes up about 8% per year. So you do see the largest increase in your benefit from the years from where you are right now until age 70. Just know that at age 70, you no longer get the 8% boost. So I hope that helps you. Do your homework, review your Social Security statements. Go on SSA.gov, set up an account for yourself, and review those statements.
All right. By the way, Clifford, congratulations. You're a winner tonight. So already a couple of winners. You can join us, 877-283-7570. And I'm thinking, so I'm hoping I'm not putting any of us on the spot here, but when a scam comes in, if you have given in to that, is there any way to claw that back? Or is it once that's done, the damage is done, and you have to start trying to get back to? I mean, I know that's a loaded question.
It's a loaded question, but look, with the Social Security scam, to that question is much like every other scam, is that it's virtually impossible to get your money back. So whether you're hit by a Social Security scam, you're hit by a computer tech scam, you're hit by a grandparent impersonation scam, getting the money back almost never happens. Many of these crimes are perpetrated outside of your jurisdiction, so they're perpetrated overseas. And finding these scammers is almost impossible. So getting the money back maybe happens, 1 in every 10,000 times, but maybe not even that much.
So just avoid it if you can to begin with. That's the important note.
But if you do become a victim, we really do encourage people to report it.
Absolutely.
Because, other people will benefit from you sharing that information. And also law enforcement does need that kind of information to have leads to try to go after people. So if you are a victim, there's nothing, people, these scammers are really smart. So there's no shame in becoming a victim of one of these, because every day, especially with AI and all of this technology out there, it's getting harder and harder to spot that scam. But we're hoping the tips that we can give you tonight will keep you more vigilant. But if you are a fall victim, please report it, and so that law enforcement can try to go after those folks.
All right, we're at 877-283-7570. Let's go to the Lone Star State. Tim is there. Hi, Tim. What question do you have for us?
Good evening. Well, it's kind of a two-parter. My first question, or part of the question is I am a federal government employee with the VA, and I participate in FERS program, retirement. I've heard there's no double dipping and that I will get a reduced Social Security benefit, and I've been told that I will not, because FERS pays into Social Security, so I will get my VA pension and my full Social Security. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Part of that question.
Yeah, well, we'll answer that part, and then you can fire away with the second, but that's accurate, and I'll tell you why. All federal employees hired after January of 1984 are in the new system, the FERS system, and the Thrift Savings Plan. And essentially, the difference between being hired after January of 84 is you now pay FICA taxes. And if you're paying FICA taxes out of your pay and having it matched by the Fed, you're paying into Social Security. You will see no reduction when your VA benefit kicks in Social Security benefit. It's the folks who work for a non-FICA taxed entity where they did not pay Social Security taxes. They're the ones. And there's a lot of activity about those laws going on right now. Good question. What's your second question?
Well, we've lost Tim.
Lost him.
But here's the good news, Tim. You are a winner. So congratulations. So let's go to the Sunshine State. That's a mouthful. Sunshine State, and that's where we'll find William. William, what's your question tonight? William, are you there?
Yes, my wife passed away December 14th. I wonder if I get any benefits from her Social Security or mine stays the same.
Well, we're sorry to hear that the circumstance in your life, but in terms of the payment, what you have to keep in mind about survivor benefits with Social Security, as is in with spousal benefits, it's always the higher benefit of the two. If your spouse's benefit was higher than yours at the time of her passing, then you would file and collect the survivor benefit from your spouse. If your own benefit is higher than that amount, Social Security will only pay the higher of the two. What I would recommend is you contact Social Security. You can call their 800 number, 772-1213, and they'll be able to tell you what the amounts were. You could review your bank records as well, but that's how it works.
Okay. Calls, if you've got a question or maybe you have something that's an interesting story about you and Social Security, 877-283-7570. You know, we've had some other changes here as well. And Stephen, I don't think we've gotten the call yet on it yet, but a new law has passed. Is that something you've been talking about as well?
Yeah, I think in brief, what you had, I spoke about it briefly, that there are some states in the United States that all of the city workers, all of the county workers, all of the local municipality workers, all of the state workers, they don't pay Social Security taxes. They pay into the state retirement system for about just over 40 years now. What would happen is if you were eligible for Social Security benefits, either under your own account or that of a spouse, and you drew this non-FICA taxed pension, you would see a reduction in your Social Security benefits, whether, again, from yourself or that of your spouse. The rules just changed on that just a few weeks ago. So what we would urge is that based on Social Security information right now, they're feverishly working through how the agency will roll out the implementation of the law. So there's more to come on that. So I think the agency would likely be asking all of us just to be patient while they do this and figure out how they're going to roll this thing out. But that is a major change for about 3 million people.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And rolling out something like this takes a little bit of time. It's not something where you walk in, make a few changes on the computer program. So I guess we'll need to be patient for that. All right. How about another phone call? This time we go to Michigan. And Jeff. Hi, Jeff. What's your question?
Good evening. Thank you for my call. I heard on the internet that in 7 years they're going to be doing away with Social Security because they're going to be broke. Is there any truth to that?
There is not. We're all ready to answer this one, right? There is not. So what you probably have heard about is that in 2034, Social Security will be at a point where it cannot pay full benefits. But that doesn't mean it's broke. It just means that at that point, if nothing is done, and I don't believe Congress is going to let nothing be done, and AARP isn't going to let nothing be done, but if nothing is done, in 2034, Social Security could only pay 80% of the benefit. Now, that's a real cut, and we think everybody should get all of the funds that you put into the system because you paid in there and you've earned a benefit. But that's when you hear that number, it is not that Social Security is going broke. That's not going to happen. But it does mean, again, if no action is taken, so worst case scenario right now is that in 2034, you get 80% of your benefit instead of 100% of your benefit.
All right. Thanks for clarifying that.
I'm glad I had the opportunity to, because that's a big one that's out there. So
and the whole story has to be told, and you just did that. So thanks for that. And by the way, Jeff, congratulations. You're a winner tonight. All right. Let's go from Michigan to Virginia, and that's where we find Sean. Sean, what question do you have for us? Hey, Sean, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, what question?
My husband, all right, I am 67 years old, and I'm on Social Security. My husband passed away 5 years ago, and all that they say, all Social Security says that I can draw off of him is like my widow's pay. I can't draw any of his benefits, but yet they say that they're giving me 80% of his benefits, and I don't understand it.
Well, there's a couple of things going on here. Surviving spouses do have the most flexibility as far as drawing options go. And one of them, I believe, is what you've already described, and that you could actually draw the survivor benefit while you delay your own if you were a worker yourself. You could delay your own until age 70 until it hits a maximum amount. That's an option for people. What I think I'm hearing you say is, if Social Security is not paying you 100% of the benefit your spouse was drawing at the time that he passed, is because you likely drew that benefit prior to turning your full retirement age. That full retirement age is pivotal. Had you waited to draw the survivor benefit at your full retirement age, you would have drawn 100% of the benefit amount your spouse was drawing at the time of death. If you drew it earlier, then it would have been a reduced rate. And I'm just thinking here, without reviewing your claim, I can't say with 100% certainty, but I'm thinking Social Security is likely paying you the highest benefit they can pay you.
But should she check?
You can always check, and I always recommend that people contact Social Security and ask the question at their 800 number, 772-1213.
Okay, COLA. We hear that acronym a lot. What is COLA for those who aren't real sure about the acronym?
My favorite is Diet Coke. I couldn't resist.
Wah, wah. COLA stands for cost of living increase, right? Adjustment, excuse me. But what it does is what we talked about a little bit earlier in the show. It deals with the inflationary issues that happen on a yearly basis. There were many years, sort of pre-pandemic, where Social Security beneficiaries saw no cost of living adjustment at all. Inflation was low, remained low for many of those years. You could get into a larger conversation about other costs going up, but inflationary costs were low. Inflation skyrocketed a lot during the pandemic, so you saw an increase in what was being paid out to beneficiaries. So it's an adjustment that is made to keep up with inflation, which is really important, particularly for folks that are living on a fixed income. That's folks who are living on Social Security, maybe a small pension or a small 401k, or not even that, just Social Security. So they're getting a cost of living increase like you would when you were a working person, where you got a 2 or a 3 or a 4% increase that keeps up with the increased cost of inflation. So that's what that is about, and it is extremely important for folks in their non-working and retirement years because they need to have those adjustments. Because food gets more expensive, medicine gets more expensive, gas gets more expensive, and you need to be able to keep up with those costs.
All right, now we know what COLA is.
I have a question to stump Greg.
Okay.
But we're still trying to stump Steven, so folks out there, please call in.
Okay.
I heard that Social Security is having a big birthday this year. What is it?
Is it having a big birthday this year? It is having a big birthday. It is
Do you know what it is?
I do know what it is. It's having its 90th birthday this year. That is a lot of years, 90 years this year. It's very exciting. And I think one of the things that's important to people to know, the question about that Sarah just took about, is it going broke in 7 years?
Right.
Is it going broke in 5 years? Is it going broke in 10 years? It's not going broke. Social Security and any beneficiary in this country, the millions of people that have collected or continue to collect Social Security has never missed a payday.
Right.
And all those people know it, and that's really important to know. So a happy birthday in 90 years, and a happy birthday for all the incredible people like Stephen and others who have worked in the program to make sure those payments go out to every single beneficiary at the first of every month.
All right. You know what? You can call us toll-free tonight, 877-283-7570. That's 877-283-7570. We have to take a short break, and when we do come back, we still have a cooler to give away. Again, phone lines open, 877-283-7570. That's the number. Hope you'll call us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're taking calls and talking about Social Security. And we still have a cooler to give away. And don't forget, if you don't win, you can enter the Second Chance Sweepstakes. All you do is scan the QR code on your screen or enter AARP.org/AARP Live. All right, let's get to the phone lines again. And we're going to Arkansas now. And Jimmy, you have a question for us tonight.
Yes, sir. I started drawing Social Security when I was 62. And I kept working some. And my health disabilities started keeping me from working. And now I'm 68, and I've never filed for disabilities. And I was just wondering, is it too late? Or I don't understand maybe where I stand with that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And we spoke of the differences between the two disability programs with Social Security right now, SSI, Supplemental Security Income, and Social Security Disability Insurance. But I'll just cut to the chase here. In order for you to be eligible for Social Security Disability Insurance benefits, you're going to have to prove to Social Security that you were disabled by the time you reached your full retirement age. So the fact that you drew at 62 at a reduced rate, people do become incapacitated at 63, 64, 65, rolling into their full retirement age. But the non-medical requirement is that you've got to be able to prove to Social Security with medical evidence that you do meet the definition of disability by the time you hit your full retirement age. If you think you can, then by all means contact them and file. You'll have to produce as much medical information as possible. But that's the short answer. I hope that's helpful.
All right. By the way, 877-283-7570. And Jimmy, congratulations. You're a winner.
Sweet.
You know, there are a lot of myths that are floating around, and I think it's a good opportunity. I like throwing scam things at y'all, and why not some myths as well? Let's do a little myth busting tonight.
Let's do that. Okay. Myth number one. Let's see. So, Sarah.
Yes, Greg.
We've just talked about this, but let's do it again.
All
Is
right.
Social Security going broke?
You know what? That is false. So as we talked about earlier, Social Security is not going broke. It's a pay-as-you-go system. As long as we have workers and employers paying into it, it's not going to go broke. Now, again, what you might have heard is that in 2034, if nothing is done, your payment will go down to 80%, but it is not going broke. And I also want to say again, 80% isn't good enough. So AARP doesn't think that's the case, and I don't think Congress will either. So if you run into your member of Congress in the grocery store, make sure that they're keeping an eye and going to take some action before 2034. But that is false.
All right, well, let's do another one.
All right.
The government is raiding Social Security. Is that true, Sarah?
It's not. And I do hear this a lot because, there is a lot of distrust with government, which I get that. But in this case, that's not true. So it's not part of the general fund. The federal government does borrow from Social Security, but in return, it issues treasury bonds. And that's something the government does all the time, and it has to then pay that back with interest. So the government has borrowed from Social Security, but it has always paid it back and paid it back with interest.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do another one. These are good.
Yeah.
All right. Congress doesn't pay into Social Security. Is that true, Sarah?
Well, that's another one that is false. So members of Congress, they have paid into it just like all of us, who are in the workforce since 1984. So they've been paying into it just like the rest of us.
All right, let's do one. Well, we got a couple more. Let's do one more here.
Okay.
So you get more by collecting early.
So that again is false, and we had a couple folks that called in, and we talked about this a little bit. So the longer you wait, the better, the higher benefit's going to be. Now there are a lot of circumstances, as Stephen said, where it makes a lot of sense for you to start collecting at 62 when you're allowed to. But if you're in a situation where you can wait, that benefit is going to go up until you wait for your full retirement age, and then even more if you wait till 70. Now there's no reason to wait past 70. So once you hit 70, start collecting. But that is another one that's false.
Right. I think we got one more.
We do.
Oh, good. All right, Sarah. You permanently lose benefits if you're working. Huh?
Again, we've talked about that tonight. That's not true. Right. But this one's a little complicated, so I'm going to pitch it over to Stephen to really answer this question.
Let's see if you can stump Stephen.
So what this is all about what the Social Security rule called the annual earnings test. In other words, can I work and can I collect at the same time? And I spoke earlier about depends on how old you are. So let's take somebody who's between age 62 through January of the year they turn their full retirement age. They can earn just over $23,000 a year. Now, let's say you earn more than that, and you go a few months throughout the year where you do not get a check. Well, that's where, that's really what the question is. And what happens is for every year that you may work and earn over and do not get checks as a result of these wages, once you turn your full retirement age, Social Security will give you credit for all those months that you did not receive benefits, and you will see an automatic computational increase in your benefit. And let me close with this about the earnings test. And I did this for 40 years, going out to explain to people that don't let the earnings test dictate your decisions about working and collecting. You run the show. You decide what your wages are going to be. You contact Social Security and you give them your earnings estimate, and they will pay you accordingly.
It is complicated, though. So I'm glad you explained it that way.
All right.
Yeah, it is complicated.
Yeah.
Now, we're toll-free tonight, by the way, and it's 877-283-7570. And let's go to Alabama. And Valerie is there. Hi, Valerie. Do you have a question for us?
Yes, I had just asked about how to do a calculation on maximizing if you took your Social Security at 62 versus delaying it with the 8% increase each year. Is there a way to calculate without raw hand? I kind of just did it raw hand, but I didn't know if there was some calculation where you can see where the break-even point would come.
Good question.
Or when
Excellent question. I would say right off the jump, I would go to ssa.gov, review your Social Security statement, and Social Security has an online calculator on the website where you can plug in the month and the year when you want benefits to begin, and it will calculate the increase for you. Keep in mind, that 8% increase is for every year from your full retirement age up to age 70. It's not 8% from 62 through your full retirement age. It's a little less than that, going all the way back to age 62. So keep that in mind. But there's no question about the fact that the longer you wait, the more you get. Now, Social Security has always had a break-even concept. In fact, on their website, they had a break-even calculator. It was there for years, and they removed it some years back because they felt it was giving people advice about what to do or not to do. However, the information basically spells out that on average, the break-even is about 12.8 years. In other words, I'm eligible to go at 63, but I'm going to wait till my full retirement age. How long will it take to get all that money I could have had I started at 63? About 12.8 years.
Yeah, interesting.
Let me throw in something real quick. My Social Security account, is it important to have that?
Yeah, I've always said, and this is something that, as the agency, they're really on us, get the people the accounts. But I would really get more personal with people and give them the real reasons to do it. Prior to collecting your benefits, you do it for education. Education. How much and when? Just like that woman's question. She would create an account, she'd go online, she'd use the calculator and get the answers. Once you're on Social Security in a post-adjudicative sense, you're drawing benefits. Two things. It creates a security barrier that nobody can access your account. Number two, you can do things. You can replace your Medicare card. You can request a 1099. You can change your address. You can change the direct deposit bank information. So these are the main reasons to create that account for yourself. Everyone should do it.
Well, and if I could just add, because I totally agree that everyone should do it, and especially some folks who might be younger and are like, well, it's not going to really be there for me. I always think this is a great exercise to go through, because once you get in there, you can start to see that your benefit, if you've been paying into it, you start to see what that benefit will be over time. And I think that's the best way to reassure people that, this program is going to be there for you. If you're paying into it, you've earned that money, and it's got to be there when you get, to the point where you're retiring. So anybody, even if you're on sort of the younger end of things, should go ahead and get that created, and so that you start to, as Stephen said, educate yourself about what the benefit's going to be for you.
And quickly, as Stephen also said, it is an extra layer of protection that you don't get if you don't have one of these accounts.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for answering. I thought I might stump you.
It's a good question.
Okay.
No, we're not going to.
No, we're not close yet.
All right, let's
more
go
callers,
to
though.
Ohio. Ohio.
Big
Clarence
game
is there. Hi, Clarence.
Tonight.
What's your question? Hi, Clarence.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey there.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
My question is, I'm 70. I was 70 when I started collecting Social Security. My wife was 65. Okay, I get $2,500 a month. She gets $1,200, but that was on her own working ability, not on collecting nothing off of me. Now I hear she could get half of what I have.
Yeah, a very good question. So at the time that you filed, there's a question on the application, are you married? And if you answered yes, you would produce your wife's contact personal information. It's at that time that Social Security would have looked into whether she could draw a higher benefit under your account. And remember, and we spoke about this earlier in the show, even though you started at age 70, your spouse is only eligible for half of your full retirement age amount. That would have been 4 or 5 or 6 years earlier. And Social Security would have had that amount. And if that amount was greater than what your spouse could get from her own, then they would have paid that amount. Again, you can always call their 800 number at 772-1213 and just be certain that they are paying the correct amount, but I believe that's how it went down.
Now, you mentioned this earlier, but on the divorced side as well, can we touch back again on that? I've already noticed some more questions about what happens in a divorce.
Yeah, in a divorce scenario, all the questions that have been surrounding here, you can see the theme. Spousal questions are the biggest questions that come our way, including divorce spousal questions. So the amount of money that's paid out to a divorced spouse, again, Social Security is only going to pay the higher of the two. If a divorced spouse is filing under their ex-spouse, if they're filing under their account number, Social Security is going to look at which benefit pays the higher, their own or the divorced spouse. The only real difference here is you have to meet a duration of marriage requirement, and you must be married at least 10 years to be able to draw as a divorced spouse. There's a couple of other requirements. In some cases, your spouse, if you're filing under your spouse, this primary wage earner spouse must be 62 at least, and they don't have to be collecting either. You could file in some cases, if you're divorced for over 2 years, as an independently entitled divorced spouse. By all means, contact Social Security, and I'll close with this. Don't call them without having your marriage certificate and your divorce decree on hand. They will require it.
All right, that's good information. You said the final thing you were going to say, but unfortunately, you've got another final thing you have to say because we're approaching the end of the show. And one thing we like to do is just final thoughts here. So what's a takeaway message for us?
I think it's something that I, as a public relations practitioner for Social Security and going out and giving, so many retirement seminars, and I would work with the financial planning industry, and I kind of got into tune of how a lot of people think and look at Social Security. And what I mean by that is that people tend to put Social Security out here. They sort of look at it as something else that they need to consider, later in life. I'll get to that. And my education in going out and telling people about these rules is I would always impress upon them to look, you should be pulling Social Security into your overall retirement portfolio discussion. Because as it was pointed out earlier in the show, to the average wage earner, Social Security is going to represent about 42% of your pre-retirement income. It's a serious part of your retirement income, and you should be putting the effort and educational time into it.
By the way, Stephen Richardson is an expert. He's been there for 40 years working on the Social Security thing. Thanks for the final thoughts there. Let's kind of keep this going.
Sure.
Sarah, what thoughts do you have?
Yeah, I want to make sure folks out there, if you have more questions, definitely go to aarp.org/Social Security. We've got all kinds of information, articles on there. There's some calculators, lots of different things you can get there. The second thing I want to leave, I got to say it a couple times tonight, but I'm going to leave it one more time. Social Security is not going broke. It has challenges that we need to address, but it's not going broke. And so I want to make sure folks out there, remember the other comment that Greg made, that it's also never missed a payment. So it's one of those programs. There's a reason why so many people support it. People rely on it, and we got to make sure it's there for everyone for the long haul, and it will be. But it does have some challenges that we have to address in the next few years.
Okay, so you gave the website address.
Yes.
What is that one more time?
aarp.org/Social Security.
All right. AARP.org, pretty good place to start.
Yep.
With any questions that you have. Okay, Greg, thoughts?
I just want to go back to one thing that Stephen talked about earlier. I want to encourage all the folks out there listening to open an account at SSA.gov if they have not done that. I have did it about maybe 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and it's made a huge difference. Like you said, there's a lot of things you can do in the portal that doesn't require phone calls, it doesn't require emails, it doesn't require any kind of communication. So you can sort of have this to yourself. And then again, to Stephen's point, you can start building your Social Security into your overall retirement planning, which you should do long before the day before you retire.
That's right.
I know we're throwing out websites here, aarp.org, but Stephen, before I let you go again, if we're going to set up through the Social Security, what's the website to get to that?
It's ssa.gov. Social Security has recently undergone some changes in their authentication process when you're setting up an account, so be ready for that. For those who have set up their accounts 2 and 3 and 4 years ago, you'll be required to reset your credentials, but by all means do it. It's very simple.
And I guess the important thing, going back to the divorce, is if you've got that, then you can make any changes in your that are mirrored, if you will, in your life.
Millions of people move from one address to another address. Millions of people change their banks. Millions of people do all sorts of things like that, which used to require all sorts of effort to go ahead and make those changes. Now it doesn't require much effort at all.
All right. Man, it's been great being here with y'all. Stephen Richardson again is an expert. Sarah Jennings, you're an expert. And Greg Marshallon's an expert. I'm just the guy here, and we've run out of time. But thank you for joining us tonight. Make sure you join us again February 17th. We'll explore some smart saving strategies, and we hope that you'll be back to join us that night. All right, good night from rural America's most important network.